Hey everyone, welcome back to my completionist playthrough of the Baldur's Gate Saga with SCS, and here we are, looking at the aftermath of one of the biggest slaughters in the whole playthrough. And just a couple of closing remarks I wanted to share with you about the fight. First off, you could see how much damage we were lacking in the encounter. We were completely unable to keep up with the rate the drow reinforcements kept spawning at, and we allowed the drow to pile on like that and end up with a huge army. You really need some more improved hastes, greater weaponry, and specialized spells to make it easier on yourself if you want to get further in that encounter and keep those waves under control. Also, another thing is that the fight didn't quite turn out how I planned. I'm actually satisfied with how it ended up working out. I had a lot of fun playing through it, but my original plan was to just hang around that entrance platform for a bit, kill the original inhabitants there and maybe a couple of waves and then get out. But of course I got a little carried away, especially with that spontaneous idea to go into that slave pens platform and stay there for so long. I let my bloodthirst overwhelm me there. But anyway, since my original plan was to be in Ustnatha for much shorter, I used my resources such as the firestorms, blade barriers, and earthquake very early. If I had known from the start that we would have an extended trip around Ustnatha like that, I would have saved some of those resources for the later waves when you need them more. The first waves are naturally the easiest ones, and we could have made it past them without using our whole arsenal back in Ustnatha itself. And yeah, can you imagine how fat and juicy a firestorm unleashed here would have been on that gigantic group of drow? But anyway, now we're going to get back to business. Rearrange some stuff and loot some of the equipment that the drow left behind for the purposes of selling it. And the longswords and crossbows aren't going to sell for much, but the flails and especially the armors should fetch some decent coins still. And we're going to do this because there are going to be some serious expenses coming up for us. There's going to be a lot of crafting that we're going to have to do, and also some very expensive scrolls that we will want to buy. So I'm going to try to get through this pretty quickly and just take some of this stuff. It also, pains me to just leave all this wealth behind on the ground. And we are going to sell this drow equipment here, although with the rest of the stuff that we have been hoarding for a while, like some of these potions on Jaheira and some other stuff, we're actually going to wait, because when we're back on the surface, we're going to unlock a merchant that is going to give us even better prices than this Svirfneblin guy here in the Underdark gives us. But this is our last chance here to get some value out of the drow equipment, because as soon as we reach the surface, even if the drow equipment is stashed in a bag of holding, for example, it's going to get immediately disintegrated and turned into dust. So we have to sell it here in the Underdark. So just a few more before this quick loot interface is going to require too much clicking. And yeah, here we had the potions of invulnerability that Kira and I dropped during the encounter. Yeah, and I think this is going to be pretty much it, I think. And yeah, that's going to be it. So we're going to distribute some of these potions of healing, give the rest to Jaheira. And yeah, before we go and progress the main storyline here with Adalon, we're just going to stop by this Svirfneblin village to sell that stuff. And also here, we can't do really anything more when it comes to conversation, but just for like role-playing stuff, let me bestow upon you that helmet that we took earlier. So just look at how good and considerate Seneshira is. She's the best adventurer out there, because not only did she save the lives of all of these Svirfneblin by using trickery and convincing the drow that we have disposed of that Svirfneblin patrol earlier on, but she even returned that helmet that she took to be able to, trick the drow in the first place. So what a nice lady she is. But anyway, now we're going to get to selling. Actually, I need to go back for a second, because we're also going to rearrange the stuff we are equipped with. There are still a few minor encounters in the Underdark that we could keep using the drow equipment for, but I'm going to take it off and re-equip us as we were before. just to get some more money out of the drow equipment, and these few fights that are left, they are nothing too special. And yeah, Kiranai is going to get a normal ring of protection +1. Here also, yeah, Imoen had that one drow chainmail equipped, and here we can give her this knave's robe, or even this traveler's robe that we've had stashed somewhere in here. There it is. Because I think still Imoen is a little bit more endangered by range attacks when it comes to interrupting her spells. Not that it really matters, you know, +1 versus missile attacks or +1 versus slashing. Doesn't really matter all that much, and we might switch at some point, but you know, now we have all of the drow equipment that we've had access to, and we're going to be able to sell it all at once. Oh, also, since we're looking at the prices here, just if you would like to make a quick mental note, for example, this full plate mail is worth 2,100 gold to this merchant, but where we're going, that one merchant I mentioned before, there we will be able to sell this full plate mail for over 3,000, and this blade of searing for over 5,000, I think. So this is going to be much more profitable, but here we can at least sell these and get a few thousand gold for all that, I think. Yeah, the crossbow and the swords don't sell for much. I'm going to leave just one longsword for demonstration purposes, so almost 5,000 gold we got for this equipment, and here we're just going to leave this in our inventory just to showcase what happens to the drow equipment once we once it is touched by the sun rays on the surface, I guess. And now we can progress to Adalon. Also, I know that we have some level ups to do, and we've got quite a bit of experience actually through that whole Ustnatha fight, but there's also going to be some more experience, some personalized experience that we're going to get now, just kind of wrapping up all of the business we were involved in Chapter 5. So I'm going to do the level ups after we get all of that experience. And here is Adalon. So yeah, of course, we're going to give her the beautiful eggs. I shall take them and give you the reward I promised. May it serve you well in the time ahead. You will see what kind of item this is. It's not, like, horrible, but, you know, at this point in the game, considering what we've had access to, this is just an insult. But I also promised a safe escape, did I not? One that will lead you nearer Bodhi and Irenicus. I shall transport us there and see you safely away. Truth be known, you might have gone there yourself, but it would have been all the bloodier. And of course we've been there, and near that door, ourselves, and dispatched of that whole group of drow guarding the passage. I'm relieved that this is over as well, though I will not be returning to my previous duties. I have seen too much of this evil to continue guarding a peace that does not exist. My last act here will be a few selective deaths, perhaps, a lesson for those responsible for my strife at least. They will know not to cross my path again. But that is for later. I shall help you, as I promised, and then see to my own concerns. Before I take you to the way to the surface, I must transform myself into more suitable form. And also she is going to transform us back into our natural forms. So, hooray! Now we are back to being humans and half-elves and whatnot. So yeah, there we go. You should be able to deal with the rest of this rabble without trouble. And then the way to the surface is clear. Good luck to you. And yeah, we've got a big chunk of experience. Seneschal was able to level up. And since we still have our haste active, let's just quickly apply some smaller buffs. I think Jaheira might get some iron skins. We can apply some mirror images on our mages and continue on. And basically also to put things into perspective, all of our encounters here and all of our efforts in the Underdark and especially in Ustnatha, that whole quest line with House Despana, the trickery and retrieving the eggs, all that was to just get this door open. So yeah, now we can pass. I think we can even get mirror images on Kiranai, and Animan is going to apply some personal buffs. Alright, and now we can continue. Just a few groups of drow stand between us and the surface. There we go. Alright, there is a mage with them, but it seems like he only has stone skin and not even mirror images, so we're going to just focus our attacks on him, just to interrupt his spells and kill him quickly. And yeah, there's some drow, some spiders, It shouldn't be a big problem here for us. And also, since these drow kind of bunched up, I am going to throw a slow in there. I know that they have magic resistance, but some of them might get still slowed when the magic resistance is not going to work for them, and if they fail their save, so it's worth a shot to just throw it in there. Alright, so the mage is dealt with. And I think this priestess doesn't cast any spells, but anyway, that's that, and we can also throw in a glitter dust, perhaps. Some of them might get affected by that. And let's actually focus on the drow, not on the spiders. And it's pretty cool environment here, with like some war tents and camps set up by the drow. Of course, that, you know, we're mobilizing for, you know, mounting that big attack on the surface. And we will see that this war wages on here. Oh yeah, there's also one more guy here. And here we will also see some of the surface elves. And as we approach this kind of temple area that Adalon mentioned, yeah, the temple passages, it's kind of a cool area with these destroyed environments of the underground passages of the temple. And yeah, the war elf here saying, "The dark enemy is there. Attack, that the forests will never again feel the taint of their step." There will be a lot of elfy stuff coming up. And here in Baldur's Gate 2, the surface elves are so easy to hate, or to just strongly dislike. Maybe you will understand my stance towards elves here after we have some conversations on the surface, once we're out of here. Come on, guys, initiate what you are supposed to initiate. Yeah, of course they're going to tell us not to get caught between or in those fights, and to get to the surface and report to Elhan. But don't tell me what to do. I want still to kill some of these drow. Now Iman seems like she was affected by greater command. But yeah, we should be able to dispose of these guys quickly enough. Although I see we have troubles hitting this guy. This must be the most evasive drow that we have ever met. Alright, finally. Well. Yeah, another piece of advice, I guess, or a warning about staying here while the fights are going on. And here there's going to be the last group of these drow. So let's throw in a little glitter dust in there. Oh yeah, some of them got blinded. And this is our last fight. And soon Chapter 5 is going to end. And we're finally going to be back to the surface. And again, you know, like, after retrieving Imoen from Spellhold, of course we wanted to get back to the mainland, get back to Athkatla and keep track of Irenicus. But after our adventures in Spellhold, we had to go through the underwater City of Caverns and all of the Sahwagan business, and then through the Underdark, all of the different side areas and whatnot, through Ustnatha, just to reach this door in the next room and be able to return to the surface finally. So anyway, maybe a couple of more potions, and that's going to be it. Oh yeah, and the reward from Adalon. Here she gives us this Nekaradan's crossbow, +3, and this is just a plain old +3 enchanted crossbow with nothing special about it. And like I said, it's not a horrible item, but considering what we've had access to, like this crossbow of affliction, for example, that we got from Dayrex's tower, that's a +4 enchanted crossbow, although it has that -2 strength debuff. And also, of course, Fire Tooth. You know, this is just such a underwhelming reward after all that we've been through to get these eggs back to Adalon. This is what she gives us. And of course I understand that Fire Tooth is a Throne of Ball edition from Watcher's Keep, and that Crossbow of Affliction is kind of an optional side quest, but still, you know, like, Crossbow is a pretty situational piece of equipment to begin with that not a lot of characters can use, and From the recruitable companions, really Jan focuses on crossbows only, and some other people like Keldorn or Dorn can have it as a backup ranged weapon, but you know, still it's pretty situational to begin with, and then it's just a +3 crossbow, so it's going to serve us well as a couple of thousand gold in our pocket once we sell it. And yeah, here is the door. So chapter 6, here we come.
As much as you have traveled, these last few feet to the surface have seemed the longest trek by far. Your relief at seeing the light of the sky is palpable, even though you are not really fleeing the black of the Underdark, rather the constant treachery. Unfortunately, even though the setting has changed, your immediate future still looks to be far from peaceful. This area has been a staging ground for many recent battles, and judging from the faces of the beleaguered elven soldiers that now approach, there may be more to come.
So there we go. We are met by some surface elf force. I speak the common tongue that you might hear and be warned. All that breach the surface will be fought back. Wait, you are no drow. You should not be in this area. Are you a collaborator? Have you betrayed the surface world to the devils below? And we're going to be pretty confrontational here, especially, well, maybe not to these guys, they mean well, I guess, but their leaders here that we will meet shortly. Yeah, so of course they are also going to direct us to Elhan. And here normally in the classic Baldur's Gate 2 with a smaller resolution, we would kind of go off screen to the west, but with enhanced edition with a zoomed out camera, it doesn't work quite as well. So here we are greeted by General Sovalidas, and he is going to be our first example of how arrogant and insufferable the elves here are. Just their attitude that they present here. They think themselves to be better than anyone else, pretty much. They hold themselves in such high esteem, and their arrogance and attitude I just cannot stand them. I'll have you know I do not trust you. I have no reason to trust you. I do not feel that I have to trust you. Note that the same applies from your perspective. So with that admission out of the way, what's this all about? He's not going to tell us anything. I merely came to look at you. You arrived from the depths, and I wish to see if the darkness was in your eyes. I am undecided. Elhan will see to you. He will make sure you are comfortable and that you reveal what you must of yourself. He is experienced and he has knowledge of the enemy. Mind that you obey him, regardless of your intent. If you attack any of my elves here, I will have you killed on the spot. We are legion, rest assured. I would dispatch you with ease with Senashira and our group. But anyway.
Well, I thank you for coming.
Yeah, he left me with so much choice. I shall keep this brief, as I have little time to waste on you. A few questions are all I need regardless. Alright. You'll get no answers from me if I'm to be your prisoner. I would have, and he just kind of ignores it. Anyway, he's going to want us to answer truthfully. My sages will detect any falsehood. They are very good at that sort of thing. Now then, something simple and direct to begin with. You emerged from the home of the drow. Were you fleeing, or are you in league with them? So here, the conversation options. This one is the one I like the most. I left them bloody and battered. I did not flee. So they are going to confirm that this is the truth. Well, a good start. You are currently not an ally of the drow. This tells me nothing of your motives, though. A name, then, that you might know something of. Irenicus. Do you know of him? So I battled my way through the Underdark, seeking his black heart. Well, that is somewhat reassuring. Your bloodlust certainly illustrates your true feelings about him. This has put me more at ease. Whatever manner of creature you are, we are on the same side in this instance at least. Jeez, don't you just want to kill him, right? Already? But anyway, the questioning is going to continue. Or, a little explanation here. For now I will apprise you of the situation, and you will realize why travel in this area is to be restricted. You might have received a warmer welcome, but Irenicus has triggered the strongest of emotions wherever he has trod. He has stepped beyond all bounds of decency, and our very city is under the weight of his thumb. Soldanesalar is simply gone. It has only been concealed, but we cannot penetrate the magics that have hidden it. We are forced to remain here, pestered by drow while supplies falter. And they're not even going to acknowledge the big favor that we have done them. Like, we basically have left drow in complete disarray, with essentially the fall of House Despana, that we killed their leaders. That is going to probably open the opportunity for some other house to engage in an internal war with Despana, just to conquer them and rise in the hierarchy of houses. We have killed so many of them, disrupted their preparations. We completely disrupted their ritual. They don't have that lesser demon lord now aiding them, and they are still going to present such an attitude towards us, these surface elves. Yes, she knows much of this. It would seem your travels have given you quite a bit of insight into the plans Irenicus has made. I wonder if you might be of service to us. Oh yes, of course. Let me just perform even more services to you. Yeah, you obviously bear no love for Irenicus, making you the enemy of our enemy. Classically speaking, this might make you our friend. And even if you are not, you cannot reach Irenicus without helping us. He is untouchable, save for one possibility. Within the temple was an artifact of great power, the Rin Lanthorn. It is an ancient lantern, etched with the oldest of runes. This also shows you how elfy they are. It could not have been named Rin Lantern, right? It has to be Lanthorn. And the true name of John Irenicus is John Eleth. It's just like, it's too much to handle. Anyway, the Lanthorn is attuned to the Elven nation, and no magic can bar its return to Elven lands. We could simply walk to Soldanesalar if we had possession of it. Someone stole the relic when the temple fell to the drow. Obviously it was a servant of Irenicus capitalizing on the chaos of the battle. We have not been able to determine where the thief went, despite the best efforts of our sages. Well, it's so obvious. We don't need any faulty magics of your sages. It makes me think that the Lanthorn is no longer in Elven territory. So yeah, it must have been Bodhi, obviously. Only she would have been trusted with such a thing. You're not helping the situation any, You may know more than we about the situation after all. I propose we exchange our services. Well, it would help if I knew what was really going on here. And he's not even going to say anything more. Perhaps if I'd had access to the city, I would have insight, but as it stands, I am in the same situation you are. The attack came without warning, born in the mind of a human we did not know. This was not in the realm of possibility, and it remains as such. He has dealt with drow, defiled our temple, and violated our city. His name is to be spit and spoken of as rarely as possible. He is all that elves are not. If you know how to find the treacherous servant of this fiend, I suggest that you do it. You seek Irenicus, we seek Irenicus. To help us is to help yourself. Find the Lanthorn. Seek outside Elven lands in whatever location you think an important servant of Irenicus would be. Only then we will reach this man. And they are not even going to be able to aid us in any way. Cannot march on human territory. Yeah, as great as our problems are, they would only get worse if we appear to be sending agents into the cities of Amn. And this is like a great interjection here. Edwin just puts it very well. This deal just gets better and better. We march to our doom while they just stay here. Yeah, so he's going to give us a hint to return to some powerful groups that we have encountered before, and ones that we have allied ourselves with in the past. They need not know the nature of the emergency, only that a great evil must be routed. The less who know of the shame brought by Irenicus, the better. Shame? What shame has he caused you? It is not your concern. His deeds will be apparent when we reach him. Until then, you should begin your task. So basically you get no information in return, no help, nothing, just another task to do. But of course this is going to bring us to Bodhi, which we want to hunt for our own reasons as well, to retrieve Imoen's soul. So it's not as dire as I sometimes, paint it to be. I'm of course exaggerating a little bit because of my dislike for the elves. They are actually going to be able to provide us with some supplies, some holy water and some stakes. And the holy water is going to be useful in kind of a more role-playing way, but you'll see. Yeah, your service is now doubly appreciated. Yeah, I'm sure it is. All speed to you, Seneshira. So the sages port out, the guards disperse here, and we can actually talk with this guy and this other sage, and of course he's going to be useless. He's not going to really tell us anything more than give us a kind of a hint that the holy water might be applied to the creature itself as a kind of a usable item, or perhaps they may be other chances to use it as well. Perhaps the creature's environment can be sullied. I do not know more than this. So at least that's a little bit of a hint. And again, he's going to reiterate that we should seek help with some of the organizations that we have met in our travels. Yeah, the nature of the Rin Lanthorn and such things is necessarily vague. Their origins are lost to time, and we only know that they must be treasured. Legends of the Lanthorn maintain that it was perhaps once a mere carriage light, but that our ancestors did light the way to new lands with it, and at the fore of their processions. It was enchanted such that it dispelled the darkness, forcing the fell creatures of the void to relinquish their hold on nature. At least, those are the stories of old. Yeah, thanks for being useless. And here we can also check up on General Savelidas. He's right here. Yeah, I will not tolerate the presence of outsiders, no matter who they are or what they intend to do for our cause. The risk is too great. Do what you must, but do it far from here. Like, oh my god, the audacity of this dude. I would really like to kill him. But unfortunately, here if you attack the elves, and this is one of the rare instances where you just kind of die instantly in kind of a cutscene. And I'm just exploring a little bit of the area just to show you the war camp, I guess, of the surface elves. And yeah, now we are in Chapter 6, back on the surface, finally back to the world map that we know. And we're going to be able to go back to Athkatla, which is going to be our first stop, I think. So yeah, kind of a camp in the forest near that passage to the Underdark. You can actually go back if you wanted through this entrance, if you had any business left in the Underdark. And yeah, let's go. Here, as you can see, there are 3 new areas available to us. Kind of in Tether, I guess. The Small Teeth Pass, North Forest, and Forest of Tether. And we're going to explore them a little bit later, I think. First we're going to go back to Athkatla. Doesn't really matter where we go directly because there's going to be an event on our way, but I think we're going to ultimately go to the docks first because there's going to be an ambush awaiting us in Athkatla, and I think it's the best to fight those guys in the docks, actually. But anyway.
We've been on this path previously. Are you sure you know where you left it? I have no desire to keep traveling about in circles.
So here we meet the classic group of friends known from so many of the books, primarily the Icewind Dale trilogy. Not only Drizzt, but also his friends from the north, Bruenor, Wulfgar, Catti-Brie, and Regis. And apparently they are on the lookout of a weapon from Bruenor. Of course, feel free, as always, to pause and read in detail. This is pretty funny. And of course, now they notice us, and Jaheira mentions that, of course, Drizzt is a well-known hero. Yeah, I am Drizzt the Urden, most recently of the 10 Towns, from Icewind Dale. Are you friend or foe? And we can, of course, respond that we are friend. And also, this conversation is going to be a little different depending on what happened in Baldur's Gate 1 when we encountered Drizzt, if you import a character from Baldur's Gate 1. But this is going to be a little later, and I'm going to elaborate in a second. Tell me, have you perhaps seen a pink warhammer in the vicinity during your travels? Blast you, Drizzt, me hammer be not pink! It be red! Red, I tell you! And, yeah, call it pink again, halfling, and you'll have yourself a one-way ticket to the abyss. And Wulfgar says, I've been there. It was nothing special. And actually, Wulfgar is not entirely true. You know, he has been kind of at the mercy of a certain demon in the books, and his time in the abyss was pretty dire. But that's a funny exchange. No matter what we respond there with, this is going to, of course, proceed kind of the same way. Tell me though, stranger, have we met before? I feel as though your face is familiar, but I cannot attach a time or place to it. Should I know you? And here we can, of course, again, either roleplay if this is a new character of what could have happened further north on the Sword Coast, but we of course have met him and helped him defeat some gnolls near Baldur's Gate. Of course, if you killed him in Baldur's Gate 1 and imported the character from the game, he is actually not even going to ask. He is going to recognize you first and be pretty mad, of course, about what happened, about us killing him and taking his weapons and whatnot, that apparently took him a long while to retrieve. And also, one kind of an Easter egg, lesser-known thing, is that if you are an elf and use the name Drizzt or Drizzt the Urden and have less than 12 reputation, he is actually going to be mad for you like pretending to be him and ruining his reputation. And that's kind of a lesser-known thing. But anyway, you can answer truthfully. That was you. Glad I am to meet you again, friend. It is good to see others of decent nature travel these roads, especially with all the rumors of danger. If you are in need of assistance, I will be glad to offer it. And here is our chance, our first opportunity to enlist some aid for the future encounter with Bodhi. And so we have a proposal. I am Senashira, and I seek to defeat a vampire in Athkatla too powerful to face alone. Will you help? I had heard rumors of this creature, but I also heard that she and her cohorts were destroyed. Are you claiming that this is untrue, that she yet exists? I was the one who destroyed her guild, but she got away. She has returned now and is stronger even than before. I have had experience with such creatures in the past, and I know well their power. If what you say is true, we cannot allow it to continue to exist. I will join you in your battle, Senashira, although there are things that we must do before that time. And of course we're going to point him to the crypts. I think I know the area you speak of. Very well. We will meet you there when you are ready to venture beneath the surface. Until that time, Senashira. And here Jaheira is going to be very proud of us, that we have displayed such great wisdom and added Drizzt and his companions to our battle against Bodhi. And that will certainly help to tip the scales. You can of course have an encounter with them, which is pretty easy at this point in the game, and the loot that you can get from them, like once again you can obtain Drizzt's loot. It's going to actually be taken away quite soon. There's a guy called Melkor Harpel that shows up and is going to pester us and ultimately take those things away, although there are some tricks around it. And some of the other very notable items, for example, Wulfgar, of course, has the very well-known powerful weapon, Aegis Fang, the throne-returning warhammer crafted by Bruenor, but it would only be a +3 throne warhammer for us because its full power is only unlocked when Wulfgar is wielding it, so can't really even get too much stuff from them. Like Regis has an amulet that allows you to cast Dire Charm, I think, so nothing too special at this point in the game. And I think we're going to travel to the docks. Finally, we are back in Athkatla. But we're going to resume our adventures here. We're going to actually be ambushed soon and attend to all of the business that we still have to do before progressing the main storyline. We're going to do all that and more in the next episode. So for now, I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you next time.